to set us up for today is that it can be beautiful to age in place or to age in another place. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is going to come at you fast. There's going to be a lot of things. We're going to be talking about resources in the community and things that you might need now, things that you might need in the future. But what I want us to kind of keep in mind is there's a point in our lives where we're really independent. And one thing may happen. Tell a little story. My husband, he fell off his bicycle, Mickey Roberts, had a concussion the day after Thanksgiving. And I knew right then things could change in an instant. I'm a caregiver too. I take care of my brother. He's 61 and he's debilitated. And for us, he has a home in a facility, and that works great. So what I want you to remember about all the things we're going to talk about today is we go from fully independent, something happens, then we're no longer as independent, and we may progress on to fully dependent. Now, the things we're going to talk about are how you fill in the gaps when they occur. Because right now, you can probably tell me what the gaps are for today. But today's a snapshot. And what the main thing that we're giving to you today is the resources to be able to know when the changes happen, where to go. Something I tell the families that I see all the time. I work in home services for Blunt Memorial, and I tell families, we got you. We got you. If I don't have it, I'll find somebody who does. So I'm going to go ahead and head on into our next speaker, who is going to give you, each of these speakers is going to give you a lot of detail. We'll try to get you out of here on time and give you time for questions. But I want you to remember the big picture. This is just a snapshot today. I know what you're going through is a lot. And I know that you're trying to plan ahead, and that's the main thing. I prepared a slide, you can read it. But I want you to know that we're going to help you with that planning ahead process by giving you some information today. It's not going to be the end of our conversation.
I want to mention that, like she said, we're going to go through it very quickly. And there are a whole lot more resources out there, but I guess the message before you leave here is we are the people you need to contact. We may not have all the answers, okay, but we will find the answers or the resources and the support that you need as a caregiver. Next slide. I already mentioned that I'm with the Blount County Community Action Agency, and at the agency there are 3 departments at our agency. One is Office on Aging, which is where I am from. Then we have community services programs, and we have a community nutrition program. And 2 of those departments we're going to spend a little bit of time today. It's on my Office on Aging, which provides services for seniors in the community, as well as the community nutrition program. Real quickly, and I'm going to go through this, there are 4 options for long-term care. Home, assisted living facility, there's a nursing facility, and then there's options for community living. Home and community-based services are homemaker services, agency services that you can come into the home, provide personal care, assistance with activities of daily living, respite care for the caregiver, those kinds of things. Assisted living facility is community living. Most everybody knows what that is. Options for community living, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that one because probably the majority of you do not know what options of community living are. It is a Medicaid-funded program. It is not resource-based in any way, but it is a need-based program, and it's an application process where you can call our office, and we can do an application with you, and it's an assessment of the individual's activities of daily living. There's 2 parts of that. There's the intellectual activities of daily living, and then there's just the physical activities of daily living. So, and then it comes out with a score. Highest scored goes on the top of the wait list. If someone's condition gets worse, they need additional help, Then we do a reassessment. We re-screen them. And so it goes up, your score will go up, so it goes up on the wait list. This is a program that it's in East Tennessee. It's managed through ETHRA, East Tennessee Human Resource Agency's AAAD agency. And they fund our office to do assessments and to help you get the services that you're needed. Each county is funded individually, so availability of funds through the state of Tennessee, as well as the needs assessment and the scoring. There's a possible, I think it's 75 score is the highest you can score on an options, and as long as you score a 35 and above, then you can be put on a wait list and be considered for options. Activities of daily living include your ability to transfer from sit to stand, from the bed to stand to a chair, from a wheelchair, from the toilet to the toilet and up from the toilet. Bathing, able to be bathed unassisted. Feeding and able to eat on your own. Even if the individual cannot prepare food on their own, they still have to, if they are able to feed themselves, if you put it in front of them and they're able to feed themselves, then they won't score on that. There's a lot of confusion on that. But if mom or dad or the person that you're providing services for, your caregiving, have to be prompted or fed because they can physically no longer feed themselves, then you will score. Intellectual ones, can they use the phone? Can they drive? Can they answer questions? Can they tell you if they're hungry? Those kinds of cognitive impairments. Those are looked on. The next part is funding long-term care. All of us are never going to age. We're going to live forever. We're never going to get sick. We're never going to get hurt. And I can tell you, just like Julie was telling you, I'm living the nightmare. Last March, my stepfather fell getting out of bed, hit the back of his head, had a traumatic brain injury, and he's full assist. He can no longer talk, he can no longer walk, he can no longer do anything. He has to be fed, he has to be, depends, everything. He can do absolutely nothing, and he's now two months ago on hospice. So that's how quick. He was working full time. He's a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer in Oak Ridge, and was driving, and then that one instance, from the time he hit his head, within 4 hours, he was gone. That's how quickly your life can turn. Head injuries, once you start doing the research and look at it, it's the #1 cause of a lot of brain injuries. It's really, really traumatic for the family and all of us. Of course, we were not paired for caregiving, and we've run through all of his resources, cash, sold his car, and now we're getting ready. Mom passed in 2020, so now we're trying to sell assets and personal belongings and household goods, and so the property's next. It's costing, we have him at home, it's costing us $8,000 a month in private caregiver services through an agency. That is full-time care, 7 hours, 7 days a week. So, yeah, it's very expensive. And we are blessed that he had those kind of resources. But we were quickly going through them. We've already borrowed $100,000 against the house, an home equity loan, till we get everything, and that will only last us a few months, the $100,000. So I'm just telling you, it happens that quick, and I'm sure some of you already know that. But this is real important. funding for long-term care. For people who do not have resources, they don't have long-term care insurance, they can't private pay, there is a program called Medicaid Choices, which is state and federal funded program. And then if they are a veteran, they could qualify for a VA aid and assistance as well. I will tell you, neither combined current Social Security income as well as choices or VA assistance may not even cover all caregiving costs. So you just need to keep that in mind and plan. If you haven't planned, then that's when you need to call our agency. Let us help you. Teen Care Medicaid, Medicaid Choices is a teen care program. It's for someone with little resources and very low income. And just because, don't wait till you've already run out of resources. It's better you come when you say 4 to 5 months out to running out of money of private pay. So we can help you apply for funding to help for your caregiving services at home or in a facility. It'll pay for both. I know I ran through that quickly. There'll be a lot of time for a Q&A afterwards. Okay, Miss Mary, I'm going to bring her up and let her talk about transportation services.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I can relate to the support you're giving to your family and friends. My mother, I took care of my mother for 8 years with her Alzheimer's disease, and I'm a nurse and I still struggled with it, the processes, so I can relate to what you're going through and all the questions you have. Giving up those car keys, that's really hard to do. You know, people outlive their ability to drive by 8 to 10 years. And then what's the quality of life if you can't get out in your car and go shopping, go enjoy what you used to enjoy, and you lose your independence? Safety, you're at a safety risk if you don't have someone who can come if you need to go urgently or emergently. And social isolation are problems that, as you know, people don't always get on the phone and talk. They just want to be around other people and to visit with other people. So we want to increase all those social interactions. And so what are the options for people? Well, they can go by private car, family and friends taking them. They can do public transportation. ETHRA. Is anybody familiar with ETHRA in the room? Okay. And that requires advance notice. Smiles. Who knows about Smiles yet already? Okay, great. Through the Office on Aging requires advance notice, and we'll go over that a little bit more detail. And it's neighbors. It's your Blount County neighbors taking you in Blount County. So, and your family, those that you're supporting. So it's neighbors taking neighbors. And as you see, it's very friendly transportation. You see that you're with your friends there versus the ETHRA. Now, there are a couple differences. Both require about 3 days notice to use, both the Smiles and the ETHRA. The drivers that drive for Smiles, they're volunteers. And they have a schedule. When someone wants a ride, they tell us what time they need to be picked up, what time their appointment is, and what time they need somebody to come back and get them and take them home. And guess what? Our volunteers do that. They're on time. The person doesn't have to wait. And the trips are around 1 to 2 hours. And we help them with their bag. If they have some bags from the grocery store or something, we can help them get those in the house. And we're able to accommodate rollators and walkers and canes, but we're not able to do wheelchairs. We don't have a service for the wheelchair, so that would be your ETHRA ride. And we do depend upon volunteers to drive. And they do, they sign up. Oh my goodness, they really are helpful with our seniors. So what does the membership cost you? It costs you $25 a year, and with advanced purchase of 4 round-trip rides at $6 each. So a round-trip ride is $6. Now, if you take a one-way trip and somebody else is picking you up to go home, you only pay the $3. And once we have to screen and process each application, so it's not like call me tomorrow and you can get on right away. We do want to screen and make sure that we've got the appropriate information to make sure you get a safe ride or your loved one gets a safe ride to where they're going. They need to be able to get in and out of the car and to by themselves. And most of our volunteers are seniors, so we're not having folks lean or depend on them a whole lot to pull them up out of the car or anything like that. They need to be pretty independent. How do we keep this program going? Joni's created such a wonderful program. We have volunteers, and our volunteers are trained, they're screened, so you're not putting your loved one in someone's care that hasn't been screened. They drive their own vehicle, and they can get mileage reimbursement. So if you're interested in being a driver, if you're a good driver, we'd love to have you join us. We have several in the audience here today. And what does that give you? It gives you a sense of purpose. If you're home and you're not doing much these days, it gives you a connection with your community. It gives you a chance to give back to your community. The research has shown you'll live longer if you volunteer. And you have it can lower your stress and give you some good feelings, positive feelings. So if you're interested in signing up as a driver or rider, please call the Smiles office. Okay, that's all I had. And let's see. Julie's next. We're going to have Julie talk to you about personal care. Thank you, Julie.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you so much. As you can see, we're moving through different gaps that you might have experienced. So here we just talked about the gap of transportation. Now, here we go. When we talk about personal care, and I know we've got some folks here today that run businesses that they offer personal care. Well, you know all about this because you're probably doing a lot of this on your own. When we talk about hiring someone to help you in the home, it's good to keep in mind what it is that you need so you know what to buy, okay? So when we're talking about custodial care, now that language is something I want you to be familiar with. This custodial care really takes in that caretaking, personal needs, bathing, and so on, where someone might need help strictly with just the safety issues of getting in and out of the shower. We'll talk about equipment here in just a minute, and Kyle Ingram is here with us today. Some of these things, the obstacle and the gap, I keep talking about the gap from being able to use a normal shower on my own independently, that might be solved by a piece of equipment that helps me safely get into and out of the shower. It might also be solved by having a person there that prevents me from falling. When we talk about other types of care that you might need, medical treatments and companionship. Medical treatments, you may have a person that you're taking care of that they would be just fine except they can't keep their pills straight. And because they can't keep their pills straight, they end up in the hospital a lot. That's the #1 reason why our elders end up in the hospital is that they have messed their medicine up. They may not even know that's why they ended up at the hospital. All they know is they don't feel good. So getting medicine straight, that may be something that you as a caregiver are able to do. Or you might need someone with skilled nursing services. Okay, so the difference between home health, now I will just full disclosure, I work for home health here for Blount Memorial. There are lots of home health agencies. You get to pick your own. You can pick any one you like. They're all checked by the state. They all do great. The difference between home health and home services, like Home Instead, or there's a number of them, they're doing either custodial or companionship, okay? They're typically not doing medical stuff like wound care, medicines, things like that. You might pay extra for a nurse to come into your home to do those things. So I want to just call this out because when it comes to personal care, you're buying one of these services And it's good for you to ask. If you're looking for help in the home, you know you need help. You might not even know which category it falls in, but you've got to be able to say to Carrie or somebody like her, Mom does fine. She can actually toilet herself, she can feed herself, and we cook for her, but she's so lonely. Companionship, okay? Now, that's at a different pay rate than maybe someone who can get her in and out of the shower safely. Okay, Mom really is a private person, but she's got to have some help. She's fallen in the shower twice. We've been in the hospital. Okay, Carrie, I just need to have you send someone out twice a week to do showers with Mom in a respectful way. Now, to make it more confusing, home health services, the skilled home health that handles medical stuff, will very often provide bathing assistance and other types of assistance. Okay. Now, we've been talking a bit about food, so we're going to move on to one of the other programs. Now, you're getting the idea that the Blount County Action Agency is a one-stop shop. I want to urge you, if you are a caregiver, as I don't work for her, and Teresa, we work together great, but I want you to know, whatever your circumstances, you may have a lot, you may have a little, but they have a program for you. There are many, many programs out there that are going to scratch the surface today. And I know that we've been talking about a lot, and the next thing we're going to talk about are the various ways that can help you with feeding. But that is not the end of it. And what you'll see today is really just a sampling of what all programs they have.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I feel bad rushing through everything, but I think it's really important that you just know what's out there, that instead of spending too much detail on everything, and who to contact. And we are the county agency for the Office on Aging is Blount County Community Action Agency for seniors and caregiving services. And we do a lot of information and referral and work with all the agencies, home health agencies, and very closely with Blount Memorial Hospital and Home Health Services. I mean, we receive a huge amount of referrals from Blount Memorial, and I can't say enough about them either. Real quick, at the agency, under community nutrition, there are the eligibility. You have to be age 60 and older, homebound. I can't read this printout. Majority of times they have to have food insecurities or access to food and income limitations. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I can't read it. I printed these for you all, and I see now that a blue slide is not the right one for printing purposes. Anyway, their secondary factor is lack of caregiver resources, lives alone, lacks ability to prepare the meals related to medical or physical factors, and they're an elevated nutritional list. Back to the same thing I was telling you about options for community living. This is an assessment, food assessment need, an insecurity need. So it's the same thing. You're scored. It's a questionnaire that's done over the phone, and you're assessed for nutritional needs through the agency. There's 3 levels of food programs at the Smoky Mountain Meals on Wheels. I'm sure they've been around, I think, 50 years? They've been around since 72, 51 years, yeah. Oh, yeah, look, it's up there. Woo-hoo, I knew I'd read that somewhere. 51 years. There's 3 levels. Level 1 is grocery services. Level 2 is a frozen meal program. And number 3 is a hot meal program. And at the bottom, it says approximately 10% of the clients receive the grocery service of level in the nutrition program. And then 75% receive the frozen meal program, and 15% receive the hot meal. The hot meal program is, they're being fed daily. They have volunteers driving up, taking them a hot meal every day. They have nobody. If we weren't taking them food on Christmas, Thanksgiving, every day. If we weren't providing that meal, they would not have food. They have nobody in the community, and they're very, very low income and have no other resources, or neighbor, or church, or a caregiver. They have no one else out there. That's the highest level of care in the nutrition program. At the bottom is our demographics of those who are enrolled into the program. And I think, Joni, we feed, is it 700 Blount County seniors a month?
I think so.
I think it's right around 700, a little over 700 individuals are fed. Again, I'll take your check at the end of the program if you want to donate, because everything that we do is nonprofit and funded by sponsorships, donations, and grants. I just wanted to plug that. oh, and the volunteers over this too. Anyway, I'm not gonna, we'll have time for you to ask questions afterwards, but let's go ahead and move to our very exciting Safer Homes program. This is our newest program at the agency, and Miss Joni Shaver is the manager. And she does an excellent job. You can tell we love her.
Thank you all for coming again. It's great to be able to provide this information to the people out in the community who need it. It's easy to just be so busy with trying to keep your head above water that you never really learn what's out there. And Blount County has a bevy of resources, and a lot of them are through our agency, through the hospital, through the state of Tennessee. One of the things, my philosophy is local problems are solved at the local level. We don't sit and wait for the state of Tennessee to come in and solve our problems, because that will never happen. We figured that out with Smiles, that this was such a great need to have transportation. We solved the problem in Blount County, and there are about 25 other programs like ours across the state of Tennessee. Ours was the model to solve this issue for rural transportation, because ETHRA is not the answer for seniors. It's great for wheelchairs, but for the average person to have to wait for an hour and a half after a 20-minute doctor's appointment is really not a good scenario for an older person. So Safer Homes was kind of developed along the same lines, in that I was getting calls from people who were being released from the hospital. They couldn't go home unless they had a ramp. They had no way of getting in and out of their house. It's really a big safety hazard. And so during the pandemic, all my meetings were canceled. And so I thought, well, let's see what we can do with this ramp thing. So what we did is we had some money, we bought some temporary aluminum ramps. And we thought, well, this will be cool. Let's move them from one house. They'd come with their broken leg and a wheelchair, and then they recover, and then we move it over to this person who had a stroke and needs it. Well, what happened is the concept is really good. It's just that most of the people who need ramps are in trailers, and they're 40 inches off the ground, and that's a 40-foot ramp. And we can't afford 40-foot aluminum ramps. They're too expensive. So then we started building them. So we build wooden ramps. We use volunteers from the community. We're partners with Habitat for Humanity. We complement their program because we will build a ramp on a rental, and they will not. Their funder will not allow them to do that. And most older people who need ramps are renting. Some of them will have a landlord that will be willing to build a ramp for them, but many of the landlords will not. They'll allow us to build one, but they won't invest to build it themselves. So we have an application process. The income limit for our program is $45,000 a year, and after that, it's just a matter of making some type of contribution toward the ramp. We'll serve whoever needs a ramp. We're in need of team leaders. We have a lot of volunteers who know how to use a screw gun and they know how to use a saw, but they can't design a ramp. So if anyone in this room would be game to help us lead a team, the need far outstrips the availability we have to do them, because they all, you know this, you always need a ramp 3 weeks before you ever think of it. So we're trying to urgently fill these needs, and we've built about 30 ramps in Blount County. We have a grant that covers Loudoun and Monroe also. So we have built about 6 ramps in those 2 counties in the last year. So it's a big lift, but we're working on it. I think I covered everything. All right, thanks.
Good morning. On home equipment, to me it's a very interesting field in that, as Miss Julie had prefaced.
Press down arrow on the keyboard.
Excuse me.
There you go. Thanks.
As Miss Julie had prefaced, home equipment gives you the opportunity that no matter what point in the interdependence you are, if you're still dependent by yourself or depending on others, you can customize your home such that it's still usable to you with again, depending on where you're at. Such items as grab bars for your shower. We don't want to keep you from falling. Shower chairs, transfer benches, and toilet risers. And all of those things have varying degrees of uniqueness to them, in that with grab bars you can have suction, you can have screw in if you need something more permanent. Toilet risers, varying degrees of height, with or without rails. I mean, lots of customization for your needs. Ambulation aids such as walkers, rollators, transport chairs, and wheelchairs, all those things between walkers, rollators, and wheelchairs, also covered by insurance, depending on what your doctor prescribes for you. We help our community a lot, depending on what you can afford and what you can't. We will point you to the best solution and help out with that for you. And then when you get into less independent care with home hospital beds and larger equipment such as Hoyer lifts, I mean, even with the hospital beds, we had mentioned earlier about falling out of your beds. You can have a hospital bed if you simply just need your upper body raised at night so you're not getting drainage or something. You can do that with half rails. You can get it in and out of that bed independently. If you're more in a situation where the individual using the bed is in a situation where you're kind of worried about them falling out and hurting their head, whatever, you can get full rails. It's going to prevent that. Larger equipment such as Hoyer lifts, if you're at a point where the individual in the bed is unable to get out on their own, more or less unable to move on their own, and you need assistance getting them up and out of the bed, to a chair, whatever, they're a simple machine, or a simple device. Just get a sling underneath them, roll them over on it. You can pull them out of bed with it pretty gently. There's also a lot of other special items like linens, very niche products as well that we have people calling all the time, hey, does this or that or the other exist? And we're usually able to point them in it. If we don't have it ourselves, we're able to point them in a direction that it's suitable for them.
Thank you, Val. Click the down arrow, the sheriff's office, guys.
Morning, everybody.
It's an up and down arrow on the keyboard.
That's what I figured it would be. Okay. How many of you have heard of the Blount County Sheriff's Senior Outreach Program? A few of you have, okay. This is a program that was started about 23 years ago for the sheriff. The sheriff saw a need to do visitations to our seniors. A lot of the seniors live alone. They have no family or family that lives far away, and they need to be checked on. They need welfare checks. Not just when somebody calls and has a deputy stop by, but just weekly visits, and that's what we do. We do these checks on people to make sure they're okay and make sure they have what they need, whether it be food, heating, they're having trouble with something. We try to help to refer them to where they need to be or where they can go to get this help. Over there's the books for the Senior Directory for Blount County. That's a great resource book. We use that quite a bit. We issue it out to everybody we go see. We visitations and stuff. Our visitations are weekly, and it's the same teams that go out to do the visitations. So we build a little rapport with these people. And we'll be out there for 15 minutes, maybe a half hour, something like that, just whatever. And we talk about whatever they want to talk about, whatever they want to discuss. You build a real strong relationship with these people. And like I said, we are a lot of times the only visitations they get. That's it. They don't see anybody else. They may go to the doctor. We cannot drive them to the doctor's office. We can't drive them to the grocery store. We're not permitted to put them in our cruisers and take them. But we got resources. BCCAA is a good example. We work with them a lot to get resources for these people. We have about 40 people in our office, in this department at the Sheriff's Office. We try to team up the client with a team we think would interact with them really good. We have some veteran teams that go out, so we visit a lot of veterans so they can relate. All these people have PTSD, and you want to be able to talk with them, relate that. I can relate to what you went through in this. The program is free. It doesn't cost you anything or the client anything. We'll always show up in a uniform. Basically what I got on, blue shirt, khaki pants. We'll have an ID, we'll have a badge, and we'll be in a cruiser. So we're not there to try to rip people off. And a lot of times that's what happens. People think they're hesitant, they're afraid, we're here to scam them. And we do get that quite a bit. They're real hesitant to let us in the door. Once we get in, we get to talk with them and stuff, they realize it and they relax a little bit more. So if the senior says, I don't want visits, you may refer somebody and we may go do the visitations and they'll say, I don't think I want this. We won't force it on them at all. We don't. We may call back in a few weeks or something and just say, hey, we were there. We just check in on you, just want to make sure you're okay, if there's anything we can do to help you out. There's no eligibility constraints, nothing. This is a cooperative effort, a lot of people, a lot of organizations. We are going to have a new class. We're always looking for volunteers. We're going to have a new class around after the first of the year sometime. It's a weekly class, one night a week, a couple hours, that would go through about 10, 12 weeks to train you on how to do this. You got to be able to have a background check. You got to be able to take a driver's test to make sure you can drive a cruiser and handle it without, wrecking it. Yeah, laugh. But we have brochures over here. We have some forms, referral forms here. And you can also go online, go to the Sheriff's Office webpage. You go online and you put in senior outreach, and on there is a referral page. You can fill that out, send it to us, and we will make the initial contact. You may be somebody you know in your church, maybe a family member, maybe a neighbor. You think, hey, this person could really use some visitation and stuff. So don't hesitate, we'll do the initial visit and talk with them. We even go to the hospitals. We'll go to the hospital, we'll go to care facilities, nursing homes. We get a lot of referrals from them. Somebody been in a rehabilitation center and they go home. And that's it. They have no more contact with people. So we do go do this. You can either reach myself, Back here in the back is Ashley Speed. We are the two that kind of run the admin part of the organization. And Dan Russell's back there. He's my partner. We go out and do visitations. We go visit people every week, like I said. If you're interested in volunteering, that's also on the webpage. You go ahead and go to the Blount County Sheriff's Office webpage. Again, Senior Outreach, and you'll see volunteer application. And that's what we do. So if you got any questions, we'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Or if you have a referral, please stop over and see us. We have the forms over here. So, Ashley, got anything to add? Dan? Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I know their time's ending, but I'm going to plug. You heard that word again. Starts with a V. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. At the Office on Aging, we have several volunteer opportunities. One, I already mentioned this through the SEL program, is a volunteer instructor, exercise instructor. Two, we have what's called CHIRP. It's a telephone reassurance program. You do it from your home. You do welfare checks over the phone. And you check on individuals that we assign you to call on a weekly basis, just to make, on a regular weekly basis, at the same day of the week and time usually, to make sure they're okay. And if they're not, then you be notifying us and we'll be finding out what's going on and doing something about it. The other opportunities are through our Benefits Enrollment Center at the Office on Aging, where we do applications of assistance. We help with the Medicare, the Medicaid, the prescription coverage, energy assistance, SNAP, which is food stamps, free government phones, the internet, all of those services we will do. We help with disability claims. There's so much that we do in the office. I just cannot spend time doing it. But we really need volunteers to come in the office and help with intake and screening. It's over the phone, taking information, and it's being able to communicate on the phone and fill in the blank on the forms where we do intake and screening on the needs. Sandy Bell, she's one of our volunteers in our Benefits Enrollment Center. She's a retired clinical social worker that left Amedisys after her retirement, and she worked really closely with us through the years, and she's in our office retiring when she's not traveling the world. And she's here for a little while back volunteering. That's an opportunity. And then Smiles Transportation, again, to be a driver and help with our Safer Homes Rent program. And Blount County Sheriff's Office Senior Outreach Program. I tell you what, I can't tell you how important this senior outreach program is. If you know anybody in your community that lives alone and doesn't have a lot of visitors, as a senior in the community, I would highly recommend that you approach them and recommend them to the senior outreach program. We need to make sure they're safe. Nobody needs to find anybody that's been laying on the floor for 3 days, and that has happened. And where somebody hasn't come in and checked on them, I can tell you horror stories after horror stories. It's awful. And we just need to come together as a community. You know who your neighbors are, we don't. Get the word out to the community, your church, anybody else that you know. I want to tell you one other quick thing, since you all are caregivers here. Our office does maintain a self-employed caregiver list. These are individuals who have been caregivers for a long time, or they just mom passed, grandma passed, and they love being a caregiver and they want to continue doing it. You have to do your own reference checks and those kinds of things, but that is available, and it's also available if you want to be put on that list as a caregiver. Before I close, I want to, Joni has a fantastic book I want her to bring up here, show everybody. I think it's AARP puts it out, and how important, this is probably one of the best books out there about caregiving there is. Go ahead and talk about that, and then we'll open up to.
So this is called The Other Talk, and what it is, it's the shift from being the parent and then having your children come in and kind of help you navigate at the end of your life. And it is just fantastic. It's a real good guide through the process of gathering what people need. We need to prepare our children so that when we pass, it's not like throwing 52 cards up in the air and trying to figure it out. So this book is very helpful. It's called The Other Talk. The author is Tim Prosch, P-R-O-S-C-H. And you can get it online through AARP or Amazon or any vendor. But it's, some of the titles, Recognizing the Negative Consequences of Silence. We as Americans absolutely are in total denial of death. I mean, we don't talk about it. We don't deal with it until it's forced upon us. And I think we need to get used to talking to our children about the fact that we're not going to live forever. And we need to work a plan to make it smooth for everybody. So this is just a great book that I've read and really recommend that you take a look. It's not that expensive. $15. Thanks.
Thanks, Joni. Couple other things real quick. Did everybody get a packet? Okay, because that information, the contact information is in the packet on the sheet. I want to make sure everybody has that, everybody's contact information. I also want to bring to your attention our upcoming. This is just skimming the surface. There's so much more about caregiving. Real important is improving the mental health. We're going to talk about caregivers and their mental health, as well as the mental health of the individual who's being caregived, who is becoming someone that's losing their independence, and how important that is. Hearing and vision is coming up in February. That's another important one. But normal aging and dementia, there will be a lot of resources there, and that's extremely important. What kind of support the caregiver needs and what you should know about the aging process and dementia. And then, of course, one of our more popular ones is the wills, trust, and powers of attorney.